So 15 is the Well, that threw a little cute airplane.
Sure. We'll figure that out.
Did you find it now?
No, I didn't find it at all.
Huh? Who? Okay. To do what? Oh,
I was willing to try to fit her in there, but it's like, if her then that's not what it is. So now she's upset that she got an invitation that she did not get anything else out of it.
We didn't say anything yet.
All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for the 2022 Caldwell County Candidate Forum, sponsored by the Lockhart Chamber of Commerce and the Greater Caldwell County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We would like to extend an extra special thank you to our partners at Lockhart ISD for hosting us in the Gerry Ohlendorf Performing Arts Center, as well as Mr. Bishop and the students of Studio 301 AV program at Lockhart High School for the production of the live stream for those of you who are watching at home. Moderating tonight's forum are Missy Hagan, Chairman of the Lockhart Chamber of Commerce, and Jonathan Gonzalez, Chairman of the Greater Caldwell County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, who had to step away to take care of something, and we'll be right back. Mr. Bishop, is it possible to turn up the mic a little more in here?
Here in house.
Yes.
All I have control of is what's on the internet.
Is that better? All right.
separate items on the ballot to vote on them. No big bond packages. We want to know what in the heck we're actually voting on and its impact on us. And there's more. Go to my solutions page.
Thank you, Ms. Curtis. So, Ms. Eden, I'd like to ask you the same question as well. Would you like me to repeat the question or?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Senate Bill 2 was passed as a tax reduction bill. Property values have gone up and tax rates have gone down. Due to assessed property values from our appraisal district increasing 20 to 50% per year, our citizens are still paying more on their tax bill. How do you intend to address this issue? And your minute starts now.
Absolutely. I certainly concur with a lot of what Ms. Curtis just stated. However, we also need to explore and open up additional revenue streams for the state of Texas by taxing other opportunities like, first off, legalizing recreational and medicinal marijuana, and we are basically missing out on a huge windfall there. And secondly, sports betting is another one that we can use in order to bring in large amounts of revenue via taxation into our state. We also need to change how we are handling the corporate tax in the state of Texas and effectively get some of these, I think it's Title 313, and we need to make sure that that is not renewed in the next legislative session, because it effectively allows a lot of these larger corporations to take tax breaks.
Time is up. Next, we'll go to the second question.
Ms. Eden, the second question, what are your biggest concerns for our growth and how do you address those concerns? Your minute starts now.
My biggest concerns for our growth as a community out here in District 17 are effectively being able to grow without damaging both the culture that we have out here as well as the environment that we have out here. We need to make sure that we are building sustainable infrastructure for the long term in our district as we expand and grow with new people moving out here into the Bastrop and Caldwell areas, especially, along with a lot of these large companies that are coming out here as well. Thank you. There are so many opportunities for our small communities here east of Austin, and we need to capitalize on those, but we need to do it in a considerate way for all of the folks who live out here already. And I hate to reference "Don't California my Texas," but I mean, I hear that a lot. And I think that we're kind of in a unique position here east of Austin to really step up and do things in a different way.
Thank you, Ms. Eden.
I got it. This is my main gig here. A developer who blew the whistle in Austin taught me about impact fees. Okay, in the state of Florida, where I'm from, actually, they charge new developments one-time impact fees in 10 areas, and all taxing authorities get to do this, like for public safety, schools, libraries. The developers pay a one-time impact fee. In Texas, there's only 4 areas, and counties they're not allowed to charge those impact fees. Our counties are getting hollowed out. We don't really support local control. We need to give our counties the authority to charge impact fees in those 10 areas to generate funds for police and fire and all the big ticket items, education. And we need to find all kinds of ways that developers understand how to not make growth pay for itself. We should make growth pay for itself.
Thank you, Ms. Curtis.
So the third question, Ms. Curtis, you'll be first. What are your biggest concerns about becoming a state representative? And your minute starts now.
My biggest concern is that most people do not believe that an independent can get elected in the state of Texas. And this is the most independent state in the United States of America. How is that? There's these arcane ballot access petition rules that keep people off the ballot. Like myself, I almost got taken off the ballot by my opponents who's suing to take me into court to enforce a little error on my petition. The court said, no, you can't do that. But this is the kind of stuff that goes on. The last time an independent was elected to the Texas House for a full term was 1959. Just remember, a lot of people are sick and tired of the control that the two parties have on candidates. That's why I'm running independent, and we've got to make a breakthrough this year in this race and watch it really blossom in 2024. Let's take a chance, guys. 34%, that's what I need.
Thank you, Ms. Curtis. Ms. Eden, same question. What are your biggest concerns about becoming a state representative? And your minute starts now.
Honestly, my biggest concern about becoming a state representative is the level of corruption that exists in our legislative body in Texas. We have pretty much, we live in a, what I like to kind of think of as an oligarchy here in Texas. We have tons of political money over the last 10, 20 years. It just gets poured into races in Texas, and the majority of our representation across this state is bought and paid for by corporate interests and large scale private donors. And I feel like trying to get things done in Austin as someone who does not subscribe to that sort of approach is going to be difficult, but I am up for the task. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eden.
Our fourth question of the night, Ms. Eden, what strategic partners will you collaborate with to achieve goals when you win in office? And your minute starts now.
You know, I have worked in a cross-partisan and bipartisan way and nonpartisan way over the last several years with a lot of the initiatives that I've worked on. There's folks in this room that I have dealt with that are Republicans. There are folks in here that I've dealt with that are Democrats and independents for that matter. There's a lot that we need to do this year. Texas is at a turning point, and we are going to really need to step up in order to make changes happen, both to accommodate growth and to also accommodate the level of corruption that exists in our government. So thanks. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Eden. Fourth question of the night, Ms. Curtis. What strategic partners will you collaborate with to achieve goals when in office? And your minute starts now.
You have to bring everyone to the table. People you have big disagreements with, people you love, and all points in between. And as I see it, the problem in Texas right now, and it has been for a long time, but I think it's gotten worse, is that it's the very, very big industries that are running the entire table. Now, you know, big industry has a really important place and role in Texas politics. But right now on the grid, fixing the grid, they had a meeting behind closed doors of all the industry players. No consumer advocates or anyone else was there to develop what the legislature is going to look at in terms of their agenda for fixing the grid. This is so all kind of Texas wrong. So, you know, let's have an even playing field. Everybody should be at the table.
Thank you, Ms. Curtis. Closing statements. You now have 1 minute to share your closing remarks. Linda Curtis, closing statement. You have 1 minute starting now.
Okay, a lot of my friends call me Rich Strike. Anybody in the audience know who Rich Strike is? Raise your hand. Nobody. Rich Strike was the horse that won the 80-1 shot, who won the Kentucky Derby this year. How did that horse win? His handlers held him back and held him back and held him back. And then when he got to the last furlong, they let him go, and then boom, he went. I had been held back by virtue of being an independent. I couldn't even get in the race until June 30th. There's other reasons why it's difficult for independents, but I believe it's because most Texans are ready to vote for an independent candidate. So I'm your poor Strike. I don't have a lot of money, but I do have a lot of vim and vigor, and I'm ready to roll, and I'm ready to take this race. So talk to us. Well, actually, we have to leave for another forum, but if you go to lindaforledge.org, please contact me. I need your help. And ask me
Thank you,
anything you
Ms.
want. I pick
Curtis.
up the phone, guys. I'm a baby boomer.
She really does pick up the phone. Sorry.
Ms. Eden, closing statement. You have 1 minute starting now.
Yeah, well, I mentioned this a minute ago, but right now we are at a turning point in Texas history. What we do not need is another corrupt and self-serving politician who toes the party line to the detriment of the people that live in this district. We need to take back our right to representative leadership by electing an advocate who will stand up for us in the Texas Capitol. I want to be that advocate and fight to ensure that our families have access to clean water, better healthcare, stable electricity, broadband, internet, and every other amenity that our urban neighbors take for granted. I want to represent you and your families by showing up when you need me and getting things done for the folks who actually live here in our district. I know that you've all heard it before, but the elections in November this year are going to be some of the most important of our lifetimes. And please make sure you remember to bring your IDs, turn out to vote for candidates all the way down the ballot, and bring everyone you know with you. Again, my name is Madeline Eden, and I will be honored to earn your vote. Please visit Eden for Texas to learn more about my priorities and my campaign for the Texas House. Thank you very much.
Ms. Eden. And thank you, Ms. Eden and Ms. Curtis, for your participation tonight.
Thank you for holding it.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Caldwell County Court at Law Judge. Candidates for this race are Democrat Barbara Molina and Republican Trey Hicks. Ms. Molina was not able to be here this evening. Mr. Hicks, please begin with your opening statement. You would have 2 minutes starting now.
Good evening. For those of you on Facebook, I assure you there are other people in the auditorium other than timekeepers. It's kind of like church. No one wants to sit up at the front. My name is Trey Hicks. I am the Republican candidate for the Caldwell County Court of Law, and I'm running because we need to get the County Court of Law working again. Since my opponent has taken office in January 2019, the docket has expanded by 40%. COVID sure had a part of that, but she has not had a jury trial since November of 2019. Whereas in the district courtrooms, the felonies, which has double the amount of jurors, double the amount of people called for denial panels, they have been having jury trials for a year since last October. Because of the lack of jury trials, we have seen the backlog of cases to where it takes between 6 to 9 months for a case that it was filed to actually be put on a docket. This needs to change. Now, getting in the weeds here, with no jury trials, what happens, the way the courthouse is scheduled, in 1 week, district court has a felony. During that week, county court of law has a non-jury week. Pretrials, waiver of arraignments, motions to revoke, juvenile cases. The next week it flips. It's a jury week in county court of law, a non-jury week with the same types of hearings in district courts. So with no juries for the past 3 years, it's like my opponent has a week off every other week and nothing gets done. There have been no added dockets. And I'm not saying she
Thank you,
doesn't
Mr.
have
Hicks.
application.
Moving forward to the first question of the night. Due to COVID, it has been reported that there is a backlog of cases. What are your plans to expedite those cases through your court? And your one minute begins now.
Okay, and I apologize. I thought I was going to be speaking for 3 minutes, so with no questions. But obviously, we need to get the juries going again and having jury trials, setting enough cases on the jury docket so we start trying cases. Until we do that, there's going to be a continued backlog because being a defense attorney for the past 7 years, we know that the judge isn't trying cases, so we get resets and resets and resets. For the first 18 years of my career, I was a prosecutor, including 2 terms as the Caldwell County District Attorney. I know how to reduce backlog of cases. I did it when I was DA, and I will do it as the judge of the County Court of Law. And I ask you for your vote because we need to get the Caldwell County Court of Law working again.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. You now have 1 minute to share your closing remarks. Your minute starts now.
Again, to the people in the auditorium and those out on the internet, on Facebook, I would like to ask you for your vote because we need to get the County Court of Law working again. The judge is paid a salary in the 6 figures. It is not the right use of taxpayer monies to have every other week off. We need to start having jury trials. We need to get the backlog reduced so that the justice is not denied to those victims. And not only that, but we have civil cases. I know of cases that have waited over 4 years to get a jury setting, and they've been told they cannot get a jury. So we need to get the Caldwell County Court of Law working again, and I ask you for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks, for your participation tonight.
Thank you.
Next will be have the representatives, the candidates for the Caldwell County Justice of the Peace Precinct 4. Candidates for this race are Republican Michael Lumley and Democrat Yvette Morales. Welcome. Mr. Lumley, please begin with your opening statement. You will have 2 minutes with your time starting now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Lumley. First of all, I would just like to say thank you to everybody who's come out here to support your candidate, no matter what ticket they're running on or who they are. So thank you for coming out and actually supporting your candidate. I'm Michael Lumley. I'm the Assistant Chief at Dale Volunteer Fire Department. I'm a United States Army veteran. Let me see. I've done a lot of things in the community. If you guys don't know by now, feel free to come talk to me. I'll tell you anything you would like to know. That's about all. That's about all I have to say right now.
Thank you, Mr. Lumley. So, Ms. Morales, please begin with your opening statement, and you will have 2 minutes starting now.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Yvette Morales, soy el candidato del Juez de Paz en el Precinto 4. Trabajo en el Centro de Mujeres Hayes Caldwell. Soy abogada y recepcionista. Tengo experiencia trabajando con la Oficina de Libertad Condicional para Adultos del Condado de Caldwell y en la Oficina de Juez de Paz bajo el Honorable George T. Miller. Nací y me creí aquí en Lockhart y sigo llevando a mi familia aquí. Good evening. My name is Yvette Morales and I am the candidate for Justice of the Peace Precinct 4. I am currently employed by the Hayes Caldwell Women's Center. I am an advocate and a receptionist. I have experience working with the Adult Probation Office of Caldwell County, and I also have experience in the past with the Justice of the Peace Precinct 1 under the Honorable George T. Miller. I was born and raised here in Lockhart, and I continue to bring up my family here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morales.
There were 2 questions submitted for Caldwell County Justice of the Peace Precinct 4. Both candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question asked. First question, Ms. Morales. What particular skills or experiences qualify you to serve as a JP? And your minute starts now.
I was employed by the Justice of the Peace in Precinct 1 under George Miller. I was a deputy clerk. I was trained to take in his tickets from the DPS office at that time and to set up court hearings. Right now, I am currently employed by the Hayes Caldwell Women's Center. I have experience with crisis intervention. I go to hospitals on sane exams, so I'm able to keep calm, keep people calm as they come into the office during a crisis. I feel that that experience can help me in the courtroom also.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. Mr. Lumley, what particular skills or experiences qualify you to serve as a JP? Your minute starts now.
I have a lot of skills, and we can talk about that later. One of them is part of JP's job is to go pronounce people when they pass away, whether it's a motor vehicle accident or something horrific. I'm there anyways all the time, and I think it is time for a JP to be involved and actually get to some of those things that matter most when people need it. Like I said before, I'm a United States Army veteran. I think that doesn't come to the table on this particular thing. I think that empathy for people come to this. I think when people come into the courtroom, they just don't need to be a number or a docket or anything. You need to take time and really figure out who you're talking to and just give them a chance to explain themselves. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Lumley. Second question, Mr. Lumley, how do you plan to work with your fellow elected officials to ensure smooth operations of your court? And your minute starts now.
Well, I don't know what elected officials you're talking about, but do you have a... I just don't want to give you an answer that just doesn't pertain to this. So I can give you what I would think. Okay, so how I plan to work with everybody in the county is just like we interact with anybody on any other day. They're a person. I don't care again what your ticket was. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care where you come from. You're here to do a common goal for the county and for the people, and that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Lumley. Ms. Morales, how do you plan to work with your fellow elected officials to ensure smooth operations of your court? And your minute starts now.
I'm assuming you're meaning other JP offices in the county. If that's the case, then I would like to meet with the JPs and make sure that we're all on the same page in what we do in our courtroom, what we put on our dockets, and make sure that we all have our questions answered and that we don't give different answers to everybody that comes through the office. It should all be the same, no matter what precinct that we're in. So I would really like to work together with the JPs, maybe meeting monthly or weekly, to make sure that there aren't any questions. We have everyone's on the same page, and that if there is something that comes up, that we can all work on it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morales.
Now we will go to the closing statements, and you will have 1 minute to share your closing remarks. Ms. Morales, you'll be first, and your 1 minute starts now.
I'm asking for everybody's vote for Justice of the Peace for Precinct 4 because I want to be able to help my community, not just my community, but all the citizens of Caldwell County. I want to be able to be that person that they're able to come to and talk to with regards to any type of problem they may have in the county. If I can't answer it, then I can help them answer it, get those questions answered for them. I want to be there for my community. I grew up here. I was born and raised here. And I want to be able to put what I've received from the community back into it because I still have my family here. Hopefully, we'll continue to stay here and raise the rest of my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. Mr. Lumley, now you have a 1 minute for your closing statement with the 1 minute starting now.
All right, again, I would love your votes. You're going to vote however you're going to vote anyways, but I would love your vote. I would just like to continue what I'm doing and that I already do for the county. I moved here, I think in 2002 to Texas from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I think that sometimes it's better for change around here, not the same stagnant stuff that you see. I think you need a fresh view in this community. I think it would help tremendously. And I just want to continue to do what I already do, and that's volunteer and help any way that I can. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lumley. Thank you, Ms. Morales and Mr. Lumley, for your participation tonight.
Round 2 candidates taken to the stage. Ready, check, vote. Make sure to take one of these 7 acceptable forms of ID to the polling place when you vote. Texas driver's license, Texas election ID certification, Texas personal ID card, Texas handgun license, U.S. citizenship certificate with a photo, U.S. military ID card with photo, U.S. passport book or card. Check your voter registration status and find your polling location at teamvp.sos.texas.gov/MVP/MVP.do.
In our second round, we will hear from candidates running for Caldwell County District Attorney, Caldwell County Commissioner, Precinct 4, and Caldwell County Judge.
We will begin this round with Caldwell County and District Attorney. Democrat candidate Fred Weber is running unopposed this year. There will be no questions. Mr. Weber, you will have 3 minutes to speak. Your 3 minutes start now.
I didn't know tonight I was going to be the only unopposed candidate speaking, so this is a little bit awkward. First of all, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, for sponsoring this event. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. I want to thank y'all for allowing me to serve another 4 years as your district attorney. It's an honor to do so. I think it's an honor to my staff, and I want to let you know that I feel like we have one of the best staffs in Caldwell County. It's a great group of people that we've put together. We work as a team. We don't work as individuals. We've been through a lot. I think the COVID situation, obviously something that none of us have ever been through anything like that. But I think we've recovered from it nicely. But I just appreciate the opportunity to serve you. Being district attorney is not always the most popular position. There are 3 things that you consider when you are district attorney. Number 1, you consider the law. Number 2, you consider ethic or the evidence, and thirdly, you consider the ethics involved. It's not a popularity contest. It's not a popular vote. And all the decisions that we make in our office are based on the law, the evidence, and ethics, and we'll continue to do so for the next 4 years. So I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weber.
Next, we will hear from the Caldwell County Commissioners, Precinct 4 candidates. With us tonight are Republican candidate Gerry West and Democratic candidate Daryl Thomas. We're ready now for the opening statements, and Mr. Thomas, you will be our first candidate for your opening statement. Please begin, and you will have 2 minutes starting now.
Good evening. My name is Daryl Thomas. I'm a resident of Caldwell County, graduate of Lockhart High School. Right now, I'm an educator and a coach. I'm also an ex-firefighter and a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. Tonight, I'd like to thank the Chambers for having me here to allow me for this forum tonight. One of the most important things about lessons I learned from being involved in sports and an activity is teamwork. As a team, we can address such issues as economic opportunities, road conditions, environmental concerns, and celebratory gun fire. I see a great opportunity to work with the other county commissions to listen at the position that will impact our community in a positive way. In order to achieve these goals, we all need to be encouraged and get each other out to vote. And there is one more thing that we all can do. We can all bring a friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Next, we will hear from Mr. West, and your 2 minutes will start now.
Hi, I'm Gerry West, and I want to explain to you why I chose this path. When I reached retirement age, I began thinking about the last phase of my life, and I knew I wanted to make this last transition as good and seamless as possible for the sake of my kids and grandkids. Basically, I wanted to leave my proverbial house in order for my family and their future. And that led me to the realization that my house sits right smack in the middle of Precinct 4 here in Caldwell County, and I began to wonder, can I leave the county better than I found it? And the answer might be no, and here's why. When Barry and I moved here back in '76, we were delighted to find a wonderful, beautiful place, a quaint town in Lockhart sitting in a beautiful county. It was amazing. Folks were always telling me that, well, Caldwell County was a sleepy little bedroom community of Austin. No, we weren't sleeping. We were in a coma. And I mean that as a good thing. As it turns out, it was the perfect place for Barry and I to raise our family. But then something happened a couple of years ago. The county stopped crawling around in grand gear. We somehow speed shifted through all the other gears and found ourselves racing at breakneck speed and overdrive due to the growth in this county. And folks, I caution you, at this point, this is not a time in our lives to elect candidates who have no managerial skills. How would we successfully navigate our county's future without a strong management team? I have spent my entire adult life owning and managing businesses, and I believe that the parallels between managing successful businesses and managing the business of the county of Lockhart, those parallels are very strong. And so I encourage you to think about who.
Thank you, Mr. West.
Oh, that was fast.
There were 3 questions submitted for Caldwell County Commissioner, Precinct 4. Both candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question asked. Mr. West, please explain to us how your life experiences have prepared you for the role of the county commissioner. You will have 1 minute to speak now.
As I touched on a while ago, I have spent my entire adult life owning and managing business. I haven't done anything else. And once again, these parallels between helping the county manage its business and then what I've already been through all my life managing, and successfully I might add, these businesses, these parallels are very strong. And I believe it's going to take leadership like that that's going to successfully get us into the future without a bunch of pitfalls.
Thank you, Mr. West. Mr. Thomas, please explain to us how your life experiences have prepared you for the role of county commissioner.
As I mentioned earlier, being able to work as a team, be part of a team, work as a team, work with the county commissioners, and go together, each of us work and actions and do things for our goals and everything that we need to do. Also, we need to partner up and accomplish each and everything that we need to do each and every day. So these are some of the things that I can do and I can help as being part of the community and part of helping each and every one of us improve the conditions each and every day.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Second question, Mr. Thomas. What are your biggest concerns about becoming an elected official? Your 1 minute starts now.
My biggest concern that becoming a county commission is being able to communicate with my constituents, being able to help them to roll up the sleeves, take action, to listen to them, to be able to go out and be able to accomplish each and goals with each and every one of the county commissioners as we partner up and do for economic opportunities, like I stated first, the road conditions, celebratory gunfire, take actions, go out and look and research and formulate plans and conditions that we'll be able to accomplish these goals each and every day and throughout the year.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. West, what are your biggest concerns about becoming an elected official? Your 1 minute starts now.
The thing that kind of scares me the most is disappointing some folks. The decisions that I believe we should make should be for the betterment of the whole county. And I without a doubt, I guess that's going to step on some toes, and it's going to be a bad thing. Some people are going to fuss. But put yourself in my place. What do you do? I mean, like I was saying a while ago, I want to leave this county better for my whole family and your families. So there's going to be some tough decisions to be made.
Thank you, Mr. West. Third question, Mr. West. What do you see as the single largest challenge in the next decade for Caldwell County? Your 1 minute starts now.
Okay, so growth is without a doubt, the biggest problem facing us. But I have some very, very good endorsements from the sheriff, Mike Lane, Constable Art Villarreal, Commissioner Ed Terrio, the judge, Hoppy Hayden, Unit Road Director Donald LeClaire. I've got even my primary challenger, Rob Artiste. It was one of my endorsements. The county treasurer, Angela Bronson, is one of my endorsements. These people have faith in my ability to help lead this county. And I'm sorry, out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. West. Mr. Thomas, what do you see as the single largest challenge in the next decade for Caldwell County? Your 1 minute starts now.
As I stated earlier, there's a whole lot of economic challenges that face Precinct 4. Again, we'll talk about getting together, the illegal dumping, environmental concerns, the celebratory gunfire, economic opportunities, making sure that jobs are created, that when jobs and developers come in, that we can create these jobs and give each and every one of the households the ability to work. And as we expand, and as we expand with the growth out in the different areas, that we regulate and make sure that everything is appropriate and all these developers and everything are accounted for all of their actions. I think these are the most important things as we grow and continue to grow throughout the county.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Next, we will hear the closing statements. You will each have 1 minute to share your closing remarks, and we will start with Mr. West, and your time starts now.
Beverly and I have been very blessed, and part of the reason why is because we've worked very hard. We've been able to give our kids everything they've needed, not everything they've always wanted, but all parents are faced with that. We've been generous to our church, we've been generous to our charities, our civic partners, our employees, to our neighbors. And I'm not speaking of just money. We've been generous with our time as well. And we've participated as much as humanly possible, like so many of you folks here. And I'm not through with this. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination. I'll make a promise to you right now. If you support me for this office, I promise to work just as hard for you and your families as I have mine. Thank you for participating in this important event. I hope and I pray that I see you and your families at the polls. Please be safe returning to your homes. Good night and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. West. Mr. Thomas, it's now time for your closing statement, and you have 1 minute starting now.
Again, I'm grateful for this opportunity to share this forum with my fellow candidate. I'm passionate about serving for the community. I'm on a mission to serve my community. I'm on a mission to serve, inform, and inspire each individual each and every day. So let's work together to make Caldwell County what it can be. Remember, teamwork make a dream work. Vote Darrell Thomas, County Commissioner, Caldwell County, Precinct 4. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. And we'd like to thank Mr. West and Mr. Thomas for their participation tonight.
Caldwell County Judge. With us tonight are Republican Hobby Hayden and Democrat Annie Persuadis Ibarra. Thank you for being here. Opening statements. Mr. Hayden, please begin with your opening statement.
Okay.
You will have 2 minutes. Your 2
Thank
minutes begin now.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank both chambers for putting this event on. I know these are difficult to put together, and I want to thank you. I also would like to thank my family. This last 4 years has been an interesting 4 years for us, and they have sacrificed a lot. I've been gone a lot, so I want to thank them. I have just like Mr. West, I've either owned or managed businesses my whole life, and that has really helped me in this job. It's critically important to understand business, understand budgets, understand development, understand economic development. I cannot stress that fact enough. This community is a community that I love. We have given our heart and soul to Lockhart through various organizations and with time, treasure, and talent, mostly Linda's. So I feel very fortunate. We have had a number of issues to wrestle with these last 4 years, and our staff and our court have done a remarkable job. We've had COVID, we've had social unrest, we've created an environmental unit that doesn't just go out and hang a red tag on a fence. They go out and investigate and open cases, and in some cases prosecute for those environmental crimes. We created an evacuation center through a grant. We've worked with developers to do all sorts of things to try to keep them under control and do good developments. And I could go on and on, but please vote for me for Caldwell County Judge, and please visit my website at www.hobbyhayden.com. And there are a list of accomplishments and things that we'd like to try to do during the next 4 years. We have a lot left to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden. Ms. Ibarra, please begin with your opening statement. You will have 2 minutes starting now.
Thank you. My name is Ana Crucedas Ibarra, and I'm your candidate for county judge. I was born and raised here in Texas. I have 27 years of residency here in Caldwell County. I'm a U.S. Army First Sergeant retired with 20 years of active duty, which includes being part of the implementation force to Bosnia, as well as a combat tour in Iraq. I have 26 years total service if you include my reserve time. As a first sergeant, a senior NCO, my career field has always been in leadership. Priority has always been taking care of the troops, taking care of their families, and as such, I also served as the Caldwell County Veteran Service Officer, championing the cause of veterans and their families. As your judge, I would like to prioritize the community growth, which I know is going to be a challenge for us all as a community. We should also be mindful that even if we do bring in large companies such as the high-tech one that recently chose to go elsewhere, we need to have the forethought to also prepare the county for that, have the infrastructure to receive the growth that we're going to get. Growth should not be painful on the current residents here in the county. Excuse me. My opponent did get us through the worst of COVID successfully. However, we also have mental health to be concerned with, not just our physical health. That pandemic left us with a lot of need for counseling to our families and their children and relatives. We also need to
Thank you, Ms. Urbana.
cut this one short.
So there have been 8 questions presented to be asked for the candidates for Caldwell County Judge. Both candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question asked. The first question will be to Ms. Yabata. There has been a lot of discussion about environmental issues within our county. What issues have been brought to your attention, and what is your plan on addressing them? You have 1 minute starting now.
Thank you. I know that trash is a very large issue and problem that we have, not necessarily here in the city, even though there are some lots I'm sure that need attention, but out in the surrounding county area, there's an abundance of trash, not only along the streets, the highways, the county roads, but also on some of the properties. It's gotten out of control, and it's definitely something that we need to provide perhaps more environmental officers to deal with this particular situation, as it's only going to get worse if it's left unchallenged. And we need to also be able to enforce with our law enforcement any infractions and make sure that those that are committing these issues are dealt with in a reasonable way, of course, but I'm glad to hear that they do allow them a time frame to rectify the situation of their own accord before any citations are
Thank
done.
you, Ms. Yabata. Mr. Hayden, same question. There's been a lot of discussions about environmental issues within our county. What issues have been brought to your attention, and what is your plan on addressing them? Your 1 minute starts now.
So we've had multiple issues. We've had illegal dumping. We've had illegal discharge to the waters of the state. I want to just read you a few statistics. We created in October 2021, an environmental unit came into effect with 3 officers, an attorney, and an admin person. We got them cars. That unit cost this county around $900,000 a year, but it's money well spent, and I want to tell you why. We have total cases since October, 433 cases, total open 101, total closed 332. Felony cases for illegal discharge to the state, 6, and I could go on and on. This unit has been very effective. The other thing that we've done to help clean up is we've had this year alone 5 county cleanup days where we provide multiple dumpsters for citizens to bring trash. The other thing that we've done very recently is you may now go to the county landfill here and bring some
Thank you,
sharp
Mr.
trash
Hayden.
once a week.
Second question, Mr. Hayden. How will you work with developers to ensure that their projects will maintain the quality of life for our citizens? Your 1 minute starts now.
That's very important. So one of the things that we have been working on for several years now is a development ordinance here in Caldwell County. One of the ordinances in that is it allows only 150-foot lot line. Well, I'm here to tell you no developer on the planet wants to do a development like that, so they come to the county to negotiate a development agreement. In those agreements, in exchange for a smaller lot line, we can ask them for green space, we can ask them for parks, we can ask them for enough acreage to put schools, and counties are not allowed to zone at all. And so we have to use these type of ordinances in order to ensure that those developments are not just good for the developer, but they're good for the folks that live in those developments And we want to give everybody a good place to live, work, and play when they live here in Caldwell County. And we're going to continue to work with those developers to make sure that they do that.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden. Ms. Bottom, how will you work with developers to ensure that their projects will maintain the quality of life for our citizens? Your 1 minute starts now.
Well, I definitely agree with the judge that it has to be something that is supervised pretty much, so to speak, the entire way. It has to be with meet the qualifications of the engineers, the county engineers, which also work with sanitation department to make sure that these lots are properly built up. There have been some that have been cut up into small lots and there's not always the proper septic in place. And it's really difficult because we don't have a lot of enforcement out in the county for these types of issues, other than perhaps neighbors bringing it to the attention of the environmental department. And it has been a problem, I will say that. I don't know if all the developers have different priorities other than.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Ibata.
you.
The third question, Ms. Ibata, how would you strike a balance between satisfying the desires of constituents with the goals of the county? You have 1 minute starting now.
I think it would be something we need to address well balanced, not one more than the other. It's something that I would have to definitely make sure that they're weighed equally. They're just as important, both to the community, and it's not something that we just, I would always encourage people to come to the Commissioner's Court and voice their opinions. Let us know what it is that is your preference in this community. It needs to be weighed out. 4 commissioners and the judge do make a lot of decisions, but the county residents need to be heard so that they can take those thoughts and opinions into those decisions that they make, because it affects everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Ibata. Mr. Hayden, how would you strike a balance between satisfying the desires of constituents with the goals of the county?
So ultimately, we hope that our goals are the desires of the constituents. We try to do that by listening to them. As we all know, especially if you visit the Commissioner's Court very often, sometimes what the issue at hand can be very controversial. You will have people there speaking on both sides of the issue. Rarely are they along party lines. They're usually along socioeconomic lines. And we have to listen to them. We have to weigh everything that they say to us. And I think as Mr. West and District Attorney Weber pointed out, it's not a popularity contest. And sometimes we have to make decisions that may be unpopular with one group or the other. But we try to be fair and we try to compromise and we try to make sure that if there is a controversial issue, that both sides have been listened to and that we make the best decision for everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden.
Question 4, Mr. Hayden. What are your priorities for funding county programs in the face of rising costs? Your 1 minute begins now.
First and foremost, public safety. We have increased the first responders budgets over $4 million in the last 4 years, and we'll continue that trend. That's an enormously important one. One of our big goals is to continue to work and manage growth. You're not going to stop growth, folks. It's here. We've been preaching about this boom for 10 years, and finally we were right. And it is honest, and the growth is incredible. So we have to prioritize growth. We have to prioritize our first responders. We have to prioritize a balanced budget. We have to listen to the commissioners' issues for their precincts and make those a priority. We have a perfect example is during budget. We have, I don't know how many workshops we had this year, maybe 4 or 5. And the commissioners were very active this year. And so
Thank you, Mr. Hayden.
we try to listen to everyone when we're doing those priorities.
Thank you. Ms. Ibarra, what are your priorities for funding county programs in the face of rising costs? Your 1 minute begins now.
Well, I can't argue with what the judge says. He's absolutely correct, and everything that needs to be done is for the betterment of the community, safety, the infrastructure, all of the growth that we are going to have needs to be addressed now before it becomes something that's a problem later on. As I said, growth should not be painful for the current residents. And it's important that we remember not only growth that's coming in, but the residents that we have now. There are some disparities within our own communities here in the cities that need to be balanced out some. We need to look at those as well, not just all the new growth coming in. We need to take care of our existing residents as well.
Thank you, Ms. Ibarra.
The next question, Ms. Ibarra. What do you see as the single largest challenge in the next decade for Caldwell County? Your 1 minute starts now.
Oh, no doubt it's going to be the growth. It's going to be the growth, and it has to be done in a manner that is hopefully smooth for everyone. The new developers, the incoming families, businesses, the current families and businesses that we have here in town and in the surrounding county. We want to try and get ahead of the game if possible and start building for that, i.e. the schools that we need to be considerate of, because otherwise we're going to be adding on portable buildings to our existing schools, trying to just patch up Band-Aids instead of building actual schools to handle the influx of families that we're going to have coming in with young children that need the education as well. And jobs, we have to make sure that the folks coming in are going to have some jobs here in the local area, not just working in the surrounding area.
Thank you, Ms. Ibarra. Mr. Hayden, what do you see as the single largest challenge in the next decade for Caldwell County? And your minute starts now.
Without a doubt, it's growth. I agree in dealing with growth. We've seen some massive projects and continue to see some massive projects looking at our county. So we have to be prepared for those. We have to make sure we have an adequate water supply. We have to make sure we have adequate power and a stable grid. And we have to work with our partners at the utilities to do that. We have to upgrade our roads. We have to build new roads. We have to work with our partners at TxDOT and look within our own budget to do that. And those are just a few examples of the challenges that we're going to face. The other one is jobs. I agree with Ms. Ibarra. Jobs are so important. I have 5 kids, all 5 of them graduated from this high school, and not one of them lives in Caldwell County because they had to go elsewhere to get a job. And I want that to stop. I want our kids to be able to stay here and work here and live here.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden.
Mr. Hayden, what are your biggest concerns for our growth, and how do you plan to address those concerns? Your 1 minute starts now.
So my biggest concern for our growth is management. If one of these very large projects, and when I say very large, I'm talking in the billions of dollars of capital investment and thousands of jobs, we have to make sure we have enough homes for that. We have to have enough quality places to live, but not just quality places to live, affordable housing as well. And I know that sometimes that's kind of a dirty word with developers, but if you're a single mom and a school teacher, you cannot afford a $400,000 house, let's face it. So we have to create places and spaces for those folks too. So the growth is paramount importance. I think you're going to hear that theme over and over. We've never been faced with growth, the likes of which we're facing now. And I think both Ms. Barr and I can agree that that is a enormous issue, and it has so many tentacles that go with it. There's not one silver bullet solution.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden. Ms. Ibarra, what are your biggest concerns for our growth, and how do you plan to address those concerns? Your 1 minute starts now.
It's kind of hard to reword everything that you said, Judge, because that's exactly what needs to be done. Is it has to be managed correctly. Again, I can't stress enough that we shouldn't impose hardships on our current residents while we're bringing in all these new families and businesses. It needs to be a peaceful, so to speak, transition of growing. I mean, there's growing pains to be had. There is no doubt there. And he speaks of everything that needs to be covered. It's kind of like, I totally agree with that. You know that.
Yes, ma'am.
And we just need to be prepared and welcome these new changing times that we're going to have as a family, as a group, as a community. We need to make room and embrace everyone that comes on.
Thank you, Ms. Ibarra.
Next question for Ms. Ibarra. What are your biggest concerns about becoming your role as county judge? Your 1 minute starts now.
My biggest concerns, I think it would have to be having a good working commissioner group, because they would be the pillar with which the majority of the issues are brought to the table. Their constituents bring their issues to them. They in turn bring it to the table for discussion and for either decisions to be made. And without a good, solid working commissioners court, it's very difficult to make things happen. The judge cannot do it by himself. It's an administrative position. We can't make those decisions by ourselves. It has to be done with a group that works together to represent the constituents and what their needs are.
Thank you, Ms. Ibarra. Mr. Hayden, what are your biggest concerns about continuing your role as county judge?
Growth. I've been enormously blessed with a great court my whole 4 years. We don't always agree on everything, but we treat it in a business-like manner. And when we're done, and we leave as friends. And I think that that's unique to this county, and I think that that's unique to the people of this county. But growth is growth. There's two: growth and mental health. We've talked a lot about growth, but we've not touched on mental health at all. Mental health affects us all. COVID exacerbated the problem here. Our jail is the biggest mental health hospital in Caldwell County. We spend a fortune medicating people with mental health issues in our jail. We have nowhere for them to go. And so as a leader, as a judge, and we need to encourage our state representatives to fund more mental health. It is one of my
Thank you,
biggest
Mr.
concerns.
Hayden.
Mr. Hayden, what strategic partners will you collaborate with to achieve goals when in office? Your 1 minute starts now.
So with growth, we work closely with Greater San Marcos Partnership and Opportunity Austin to bring these opportunities here. That's very important. I have enjoyed a good relationship with our state representative and hope to forge a good relationship with whoever becomes our new state representative. That is critically important because they make the rules that we live by. So that's important. We have the Northern Caldwell County Coalition here, where once a quarter, the county, the school district, and the city of Lockhart meet. to discuss all of those things that are impacting our daily lives, development, how many kids are coming, what type of development. And so you have to work, and CapCog is critically important. I'm on the executive board, and we manage the 10-county region. And if you nowadays have to take
Thank you, Mr. Hayden.
approach to this job.
Ms. Ibata, what strategic partners will you collaborate with to achieve goals when in office? Your 1 minute starts now.
It would definitely have to be the oversight of the higher echelons in growth. That's something that obviously the judge has an advantage over knowing that that's transpired already because he's been in the position and he knows which entities would have to be the most positive for influence. And I would definitely be on board for oversight from higher echelons of community growth from the surrounding areas throughout this county, Hayes County, Gonzales, Bastrop, and Travis County. Because if Travis County can grow as much as they have, and so has Hayes County, then I'm sure we could handle it here too, provided that we follow pretty much the same basic patterns and we don't need to reinvent a wheel. In other words, those are laid out for us in regulations and rules.
Thank you, Ms. Hop. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Ibata.
Now we're ready for the closing statements, and you will have 1 minute to share your closing remarks. Ms. Ibata, you will be first, and your 1 minute starts now.
Thank you, everyone, for being here and for listening to us. It's important that we get a chance to speak to our constituents. I'm hoping that we can get as many people to the polls as possible. Definitely what was been said earlier, it's important, take your neighbors, take your friends, offer rides if you can. We can only make the changes to help grow this community in a good way by working together. And it starts at the polls because it's imperative that we get people out to vote. Sadly, so many of them think that their vote doesn't count, and that's so not true. Everyone's vote counts, and we need to stress that and work together as a community, which we are.
Thank you, Ms. Ibata. Mr. Hayden, you have 1 minute for your closing statement with the starting now.
Okay, once again, I'd like to thank both chambers for putting this on and giving us a chance to sit up here and answer these questions. I think they're important, and it's a huge part of the political process. I agree. The most powerful thing that you can do as an individual in the United States of America is vote. It is your power to make change. If you want change, it is your power to allow people that are in office to continue to do a good job. We work for you. We serve you. And it is incumbent upon everyone in this room and everyone in this county that's registered to vote to please go vote. It is without a doubt the most important thing you can do. I've had the honor of being your county judge for the last 4 years and would dearly love to do another 4 years. There's a lot of work to be done, and I ask you for your vote very humbly.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden. Thank you, Mr. Hayden and Ms. Ibata, for your participation tonight.
State Board of Education, District 5. With us tonight is Republican Perla Munoz Hopkins. Ms. Hopkins, you have 3 minutes to speak. Your 3 minutes start now.
Buenas tardes a todos. Soy Perla Muñoz Hopkins y soy la candidata republicana para la Junta Estatal de Educación Pública. Les pido por su apoyo y también sus votos para asegurar no nomás la educación de nuestros hijos, pero también el futuro de ellos. Me llamo Perla Muñoz Hopkins. I am the Republican candidate for the State Board of Education, District Number 5. I am a mother, been married for 22 years. I have kids in public college and high school. I am a certified teacher, a lifelong volunteer, and a proud Air Force veteran. I grew up homeless for part of my childhood, but I can still remember the struggles and the fears of living in such conditions. My parents from Guatemala and Mexico came to America, the land of opportunity. We are so fortunate to be in this country. Because of my background, my childhood, education is so important to my family. I believe that an educated population lends itself to a prosperous society. How else can we continue to, have the benefits and the privileges of the quality of life we all enjoy without having a basic education? Texas is now ranked number 43 in education. We must partner together and do something about that. I also believe that parents are the primary teachers of their children. So together, we can take back our schools. We can reject all of the identity politics and the liberal indoctrination that our children have been subjected to. I have proof of that not only as a teacher in the state of Texas and elsewhere, but as a parent of public school students. Together, we can ensure that our children are being taught the best skills in reading, writing, math, science, history, and civics, like some of the candidates have mentioned today, the power of our voting. That is how we make changes. I haven't been in this race very long. I was just elected on August 6th because the original candidate passed away. I would love your help to make sure that we continue to elect leaders. I am running for the State Board of Education, and with your help, we can ensure the quality of education for our children and their children so that they too can achieve the American dream. Thank you, Chambers, for allowing me the time to introduce myself. Gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Hopkins, for your participation tonight.
We'd like to thank all the candidates that were able to participate this evening. This concludes the 2022 Caldwell County Candidate Forum. A recording of this program will be available later this week at lockhartchamber.com. Again, we would like to thank our partners at Lockhart ISD for hosting us at the Gerry Ohlendorf Performing Arts Center, as well as Mr. Bishop and the students of Studio 301 AV program at Lockhart High School for the video production of this program. Remember, your vote counts.